We're often taught that the key to success lies in constant hustle, working longer hours, sacrificing sleep, and pushing ourselves beyond our limits. We're told that doing more will eventually bring in the wealth we desire. But deep down, despite all the effort, it still feels like something is off. Like you're reaching out for success, but it keeps slipping just out of your grasp. You feel close, yet not quite there. What if the missing piece isn't effort, but energy? There's a deeper truth, one that has echoed through ancient teachings for centuries. Wealth doesn't arise solely from what we do. It flows when who we are is aligned with what we seek. It's about syncing our inner energy with the frequency of abundance. When that alignment happens, things start to shift. Opportunities arise, clarity sets in, and prosperity begins to move toward us. On April 23rd, 2025, a rare and powerful energetic window opens. It's more than just a date. It's a moment in time that aligns with 6 sacred numbers, each carrying a vibrational signature. These numbers aren't tied to superstition or random chance. They're deeply rooted in spiritual traditions, particularly Buddhist insights, offering a pathway to attract peace, prosperity, and a deeper sense of purpose. Before we connect with this rare energetic opening, it's important to prepare your energy. Simple acts can make a big difference. Setting an intention, making a conscious choice to be open to growth. These steps begin the process of realignment. Take a moment now. Anchor your intention. Make space for clarity and transformation. Invite harmony into your life. Say to yourself, or even write it in the space around you, I welcome growth and harmony. That simple phrase can start to shift your frequency immediately. Breathe deeply. Let the distractions fade. Tune into the stillness beneath the surface of your busy thoughts. April 23rd is more than a date. It's a doorway, and it leads to something real, the kind of wealth that doesn't just change your bank balance, but your entire being. There's a number that carries a quiet kind of power, one that doesn't scream for attention, but works patiently beneath the surface. That number is 22. In numerology, it's known as the master builder. Not because it promises instant results, but because it lays the foundation for something that lasts. It's about vision paired with steady, intentional action, the kind that transforms lives over time. This energy isn't about chasing the next big win or sprinting toward success. It's about crafting a life that's both meaningful and enduring. 22 is the bridge between spiritual clarity and real-world results. It reflects the wisdom of Buddhist teachings, particularly the concept of right effort, which encourages consistent mindful steps rooted in awareness and intention. This principle comes to life in the story of Martha, a woman who found herself starting over at the age of 61. After her divorce, she didn't rush to reinvent everything at once. Instead, she embraced a method of transformation based on 22-day cycles. Each cycle, she focused on one area, decluttering her home, reconnecting with old friends, nourishing her body, or learning something new. Slowly but surely, change began to take shape. Within 6 months, she wasn't just getting by, she was thriving. There was a lightness in her presence, a renewed purpose in her every move. And that's the real essence of 22. It's about giving yourself permission to take things one step at a time while staying rooted in your larger vision. So, what's your next move? Choose one goal, just one. Break it into small, manageable steps you can commit to over the next 22 days. Let it be simple. Let it be consistent. Write the number 22 on a sticky note and place it somewhere you'll see it every day. A gentle reminder that even the tallest structures are built one brick at a time. The magic is in the momentum. Keep moving, keep building. There's a quiet power in the number 8, one that speaks to infinity, to cycles that never truly end. Its shape alone tells a story, a continuous loop, flowing effortlessly from one side to the other. In both Buddhist and Taoist traditions, 8 symbolizes balance. not just in theory, but in the way we live, through giving and receiving, effort and surrender, action and stillness. Prosperity, in its truest form, isn't about relentless pursuit. It's about flow. It's about being open to receive as much as you are willing to give. That's where the number 8 becomes more than a symbol. It becomes a guide. Take Marcus, for example. At 44, he was feeling stuck, like the energy in his career had flatlined. He wasn't sure what to do next, but instead of forcing change, he chose to invite it in. Every morning he began with just 8 minutes of quiet meditation. No goals, just presence. After that, he'd write down 8 things he was grateful for, no matter how small. A good night's sleep, a kind word, a moment of peace. He even placed a simple figure 8 symbol on his desk, letting it serve as a visual reminder of what he was calling in. Over time, things began to shift, not in a chaotic rush, but with grace. Conversations opened up. New opportunities appeared. Without pushing, without chasing, life began to move again. This is the essence of 8. When you honor the balance, the flow returns. You can start this too. Begin your day with 8 quiet minutes. Breathe, listen, settle into stillness. Then write down 8 things you're grateful for. This simple ritual does more than calm your mind. It opens the door to abundance by shifting your focus from lack to appreciation. And if it feels right, keep the number 8 near you. A note on your mirror, your phone wallpaper, your workspace. Not as a superstition, but as a symbol. A reminder that prosperity isn't something to chase. It's something to allow. There's something quietly powerful about the number 17. It doesn't scream for attention or rush toward dramatic outcomes. Instead, it represents endurance, the kind of strength that comes from showing up again and again, even when it's hard, even when no one's watching. In many traditions, including Buddhism, this kind of effort is known as virya, a noble energy rooted in persistence and inner courage. 17 is often called the warrior's number, but not the kind of warrior that thrives on battle or recognition. This is the inner warrior, the one who keeps going, one step at a time, with humility and heart. Leela, 35, discovered this in her own life. At a time when everything felt overwhelming, finances, motivation, self-worth, she made a quiet decision to begin tracking 17 tiny wins each day. Nothing grand, just honest, simple acknowledgments of her efforts. Got out of bed on time. Sent that email I was avoiding. Paid $10 toward debt. At first it felt small, almost silly, but something started shifting. Day by day, she noticed her own strength. She wasn't waiting for life to change. She was already changing it. Not through luck, but through commitment. And within a few months, the results spoke for themselves, not just in her external circumstances, but in her confidence, her energy, her sense of direction. What transformed her wasn't some massive breakthrough, it was her consistency. This is the quiet message of 17. Resilience isn't about perfection. It's about choosing to keep moving, even if the steps are small. If you're ready to build that kind of strength, try this. Commit to one habit for the next 17 days. Just one. It could be walking for 10 minutes, journaling a few thoughts, stretching before bed, or drinking more water. What matters most is that you show up for it every single day. Track your progress. Notice your wins, even the smallest ones. Because momentum doesn't come from massive leaps. It comes from the rhythm of small, steady steps. And over time, that rhythm becomes unstoppable. There's a richness in the number 9 that goes beyond the material. It represents a kind of maturity, not just in age, but in spirit. It's the energy of someone who has lived, learned, and now seeks to give back. In many spiritual traditions, including Buddhism, 9 is the number of completion and compassionate service. It reflects the path of the Bodhisattva, the awakened being who chooses to remain in the world, not for personal gain, but to help others find their way. Wealth, when guided by the energy of 9, becomes something more than accumulation. It becomes meaningful. It transforms into legacy, into the gentle impact we leave behind in the lives we touch. Harold understood this deeply. At 72, after a long and steady career, he began quietly donating 9% of his income, not for recognition, but simply because he could. No plaques, no public announcements. He also started mentoring local youth, sharing not just his knowledge, but his time and attention. And when asked what brought him the most fulfillment in his later years, he didn't mention any of his achievements. He spoke about giving, about the quiet satisfaction of knowing he made someone else's path a little easier. That was his true wealth. This is the essence of 9, the joy that comes not from having more, but from using what you have to uplift others. If you feel called to work with this energy, here's a gentle practice. For the next 9 weeks, commit to 1 act of service and 1 act of simplicity each week. Service could be helping someone without being asked, offering your time, sharing your skills. Simplicity might mean decluttering a space, saying no to something that drains you, or choosing presence over pressure. These small choices create a ripple. They remind you that success doesn't have to be loud to be powerful. Ask yourself regularly, how can my success become a source of strength for someone else? Because when you move with the spirit of 9, you don't just build a life, you leave behind something lasting. Success doesn't have to come at the cost of your well-being. Real, lasting success, the kind that feels good on the inside, comes from the heart. That's the quiet wisdom carried by the number 6. In Buddhist teachings, it's reflected in the 6 perfections: generosity, discipline, patience, effort, concentration, and wisdom. Together, they create a life of balance, where giving doesn't drain you, where progress doesn't require burnout. The energy of 6 invites you to lead with intention. To succeed, yes, but not by sacrificing your health, your relationships, or your peace. Anna, 50, embodies this beautifully. She runs a cozy cafe in her community, but it's more than just a business. It's a mission. She hires single mothers, giving them steady work and support. And behind the scenes, she keeps herself grounded with a simple weekly ritual: her 6-point check-in. Every Sunday evening, she pauses to reflect on 6 key areas of her life: career, family, health, friendships, personal growth, and rest. She doesn't judge herself. She simply rates each one on a scale from 1 to 10, noticing where things feel aligned and where gentle adjustments might be needed. This practice is her anchor. It keeps her from running on empty. It helps her lead with compassion, for others and for herself. You can use this same tool. Once a week, take a quiet moment and check in with your life. Choose 6 areas that matter most to you. Maybe it's work, health, love, finances, fun, and inner peace. Rate each one honestly. Where are you thriving? Where are you stretching too thin? And most importantly, where can you make small, kind adjustments without guilt? This is how you stay aligned, not by doing it all perfectly, but by staying connected to what matters. Because success isn't just about achievement, it's about how you feel while you're living it. Every great journey begins with a single step, but often it takes boldness to even begin. The number 3 carries this spark of initiation. In Buddhist tradition, it represents the sacred triad: Buddha, your inner potential; Dharma, the wisdom guiding your path; and Sangha, the community that supports your growth. Together, they form a foundation not just for spiritual practice, but for meaningful action in the world. The energy of 3 is all about momentum, not waiting for the perfect plan or total clarity, but trusting that movement creates its own direction. It's about starting, especially when it feels uncomfortable. Darren, 33, found this out firsthand. He was launching a small business and felt overwhelmed by where to begin. So, he simplified. He committed to making just 3 meaningful calls a day. Some were to potential clients, others were for advice, support, or feedback. Day by day, those calls stacked up, and in just 3 months, his calendar was full, not because of a complex strategy, but because he showed up with consistency and heart. That's the magic of 3. Simple, intentional action that opens doors you didn't even know were there. You can tap into this energy every morning. Begin your day with 3 focused steps. One for your body, like stretching or hydrating. One for your mind, reading, journaling, or meditation. And one aligned with your current goal, a task, a conversation, a decision. These don't have to be big moves. What matters is that you do them with intention, because clarity often follows movement, not the other way around. When you act, the path unfolds. So take those 3 steps. Let them carry you forward. The beginning doesn't need to be perfect, it just needs to happen. These numbers you've explored, 3, 6, 8, 9, 17, 22, they aren't spells or shortcuts. They're not tricks to manifest without effort. They're invitations. They're sacred tools designed to bring you back to what really matters: your energy, your awareness, your why. Each number is a lens, a way of looking at life through a different truth, a deeper principle, a more intentional rhythm. And that's where real wealth begins. Not with endless striving, but with inner clarity, with presence, with knowing what you're building and why. From that space, your actions become powerful, not because they're forced, but because they're aligned. When alignment meets action, you stop chasing. You start creating. Life begins to respond, not to your desperation, but to your direction. You begin to feel the shift. More flow, less friction, more purpose, less pressure. Let's be clear. This path isn't about perfection. It's about awareness. It's about choosing to live from the inside out. And these numbers, they're not rigid rules. They're companions, gentle reminders of how to come back to yourself, how to reconnect with your purpose, how to move forward with both intention and grace. So now you have a choice. Choose one number, just one. Don't overthink it. Pick the one that stirred something in you, the one that whispered, "This is what you need right now." Let that number guide your focus. Let it shape your next step. Begin today. Even if the action is small, the energy behind it is everything. And if you're ready to anchor your commitment, speak it into the world. Write it in the comments. Say it out loud. Whisper it to yourself if that's what feels right. I am building in alignment. Feel the weight of those words. You're not chasing a life. You're crafting one, with awareness, with devotion, with soul. Because true success isn't found in the noise. It's grown in the quiet, steady alignment between who you are and how you choose to live. And that journey, it starts now.